Judith Miller raised a very interesting question during her fight. I'll tell you a story about all that. It was really fascinating. After she was told that her source had waived her privilege, the privilege, she took the position that it wasn't the source's privilege, that it was her privilege. That the reporter's privilege meant just that she alone had the right to decide, even if she believed that the source had released her, that she had the right not to testify. I think the law needs to clarify that question. If a source releases a reporter, it is the protection of the source that matters in a situation like this. At least that's what the journalists have always told me. Once that happens, then the reporter should be forced to testify. There should be no secondary privilege which comes out of that once the source has freely, voluntarily, knowingly waived the confidentiality. It's a contract, but it's basically a one-way contract between the reporter and the source. If the source says, you can testify and I want you to, there shouldn't be any basis for the reporter saying no at that point.
The waiver issue, I think, is very, very important. Again, Matt alluded to this, and the Judith Miller events raised the issue. And I think, first of all, I think there's going to be a danger, even if we get a shield law, that the government getting everybody in an agency or in the White House to sign a form saying, I waive confidentiality. That is a bad development.
Very voluntary.
It's a very voluntary, great trick.
Very voluntary.
At the same time, it's in retrospect, everyone thinks they know exactly how these waivers should have been obtained, and you can say you should have done this, you should have done that, but it's a very murky area, and reporters are very reluctant to make it seem like they're trying to get out from under a promise, and at the same time, these sources weren't exactly low-level bureaucrats who couldn't stand up for themselves. And so, so I think that a lot has been learned about the ability to go back to a source through your lawyer or through directly to the source and say, we made this promise, now I'm about to go to jail, tell me what you honestly think, I'll abide by what you tell me. And as a source, I don't always think that when I'm on background or off the record, if I knew the person was going to go to jail, I might say, go ahead and reveal it. So I think we've learned a lot, and so on the waiver front, I think you're right that question of who has the privilege, that's one question, and then greater communication without the force of the government. I think there's a real danger of this coercion or interference, and I'm worried that courts are now going to say, well, in fact, they've started to do this, well, go back and see if you can get a waiver, and then you've got the court overseeing the process. So I think that's an issue, whether there's a shield law or not, that is very thorny.